In 2003, America's most famous toy store filed for bankruptcy with $175 million in debt. They filed again in 2004. This time, Fifth Avenue Flagship shut down permanently after serving customers for 142 years. All 13 locations closed. The brand disappeared. 4 years later, the trademark sold to new owners. By 2018, they'd invested $2 million reopening at Rockefeller Plaza with 27-foot rocket ships and reimagined pianos. Today, FAO Schwarz operates 6 locations, generating $17.5 million annually in an industry where most toy retailers have vanished. This is the story of how double bankruptcy became complete resurrection. If you love business legends rising from failure, hit like and subscribe to Money Legends. How does a small immigrant shop transform into an American cultural landmark that tourists rank alongside the Empire State Building? Frederick August Otto Schwarz opened his first toy store in Baltimore in 1862. He sold imported European playthings from a simple catalog. The German immigrant's operation was modest, but within 8 years he had relocated to New York City with revenues that allowed expansion into a proper retail space. The Manhattan location transformed the business. Schwarz installed floor-to-ceiling displays featuring mechanical toys, imported dolls, and elaborate train sets. Crowds of pedestrians stopped to watch through the windows. Those windows became legendary. He invested significant capital in theatrical seasonal displays. Families would travel across the city to witness them. The Christmas 1890 window featured a miniature village with working gas street lamps. Most New York homes didn't yet have that technology. Parents brought children specifically to see these displays, often without any intention to purchase. The window investment paid off. By 1900, FAO Schwarz had relocated to Fifth Avenue. The flagship claimed prime real estate in Manhattan's most expensive shopping district. It featured grand staircases and dedicated toy departments, organized by age and interest. Staff were trained to treat each family visit as an event rather than a transaction. But the real business innovation happened behind the scenes. FAO Schwarz pioneered curated toy retail in America. Rather than stocking whatever manufacturer shipped, Schwarz personally traveled to European toy makers. He selected items American families couldn't find elsewhere. This created pricing power that allowed the store to charge 30 to 50% premiums over competitors. By the 1920s, FAO Schwarz had expanded to multiple East Coast locations. The company maintained strict control over inventory selection and customer experience standards. The brand had established something competitors couldn't easily replicate: a reputation for quality and experience that justified the higher prices. The 1988 film Big cemented this cultural status. Tom Hanks and Robert Loggia performed chopsticks on the store's dance-on piano. That scene turned a retail gimmick into the most recognizable toy store feature in America. It generated an estimated $4 million in equivalent advertising value through media mentions and tourist visits in the following decade. FAO Schwarz had created a business model where theatrical presentation and curated selection commanded premium prices in an increasingly competitive toy market. But it didn't last forever. In January 2003, FAO Schwarz filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. The filing listed $175 million in debt against $115 million in assets. It revealed the company had been operating at a loss for 3 consecutive years while attempting to maintain 40 locations nationwide. The core problem was simple arithmetic. FAO Schwarz's Fifth Avenue flagship was paying approximately $20 million annually in rent by the early 2000s. That single location needed to generate roughly $60 million in yearly revenue just to justify its existence at typical retail margins. Meanwhile, Walmart sold identical toys for 40% less while paying a fraction of Manhattan's real estate costs. The 2003 bankruptcy reorganization attempted to solve this by closing underperforming locations and renegotiating supplier contracts. Management projected a return to profitability within 18 months through these operational cuts. Unfortunately, the projections failed completely. By October 2004, FAO Schwarz filed for bankruptcy protection again. This marked the second filing in less than 2 years. The company listed $48 million in debt and announced plans to close all remaining branches, including the historic Fifth Avenue flagship store. When it closed, the flagship closure became a cultural event. On the final day, July 15, 2004, Over 3,000 customers lined up to make last purchases and take photographs. Local news stations broadcast the closing live as families, some visibly crying, exiting carrying shopping bags for the final time. The New York Times ran a front-page story documenting the closure as the end of an era in American retail. The numbers told a full story. Between 2000 and 2004, FAO Schwarz's customer traffic had declined 35% at flagship locations. Meanwhile, foot traffic in surrounding Manhattan retail increased 12%. Customers were shopping more, but increasingly choosing convenience and lower prices over theatrical experience. Online retailers added to the pain. Parents could browse Amazon from home and receive toys within 48 hours. The prices were 40% less than FAO Schwarz. They paid way less rent. The business model that had thrived for 142 years no longer fit market economics. All 13 FAO Schwarz locations closed permanently. The company's assets were auctioned to settle remaining creditor claims. This included trademark rights and the famous toy soldier logo. The brand that had once defined luxury toy retail in America had been reduced to intellectual property, sold for scrap. The bankruptcy headlines captured public attention, but behind the scenes, internal dysfunction was tearing the company apart from the inside. In 1998, FAO Schwarz faced a federal lawsuit alleging systematic racial discrimination at the Fifth Avenue flagship. The case documented specific incidents where management allegedly subjected African American employees to hostile treatment and created an intimidating work environment. Court filings included testimony from 12 current and former employees describing patterns of behavior that violated federal civil rights statutes. The lawsuit settled out of court in 2000 for an undisclosed sum, but the damage extended far beyond legal fees. The case revealed management dysfunction at a company that desperately needed competent leadership. While competitors focused on adapting to e-commerce and discount retail, FAO Schwarz's management was defending discrimination allegations. These suggested fundamental failures in basic workplace standards. The ownership instability made everything worse, too. Between 1990 and 2009, the company changed hands 4 times in a chaotic carousel of corporate control. Morse Partners acquired it in 1990, then sold it to Dutch conglomerate Vendex KBB in 1994. Right Start took control in 2001 before flipping it to Toys R Us in 2009. Each transition brought complete strategic resets. New executives would arrive and announce transformation plans. They would depart 18 to 24 months later when those plans failed. Employees watched 3 different corporate visions launch and collapse within a single decade. Store managers reported to 5 different regional supervisors in 7 years. Benefits packages changed 4 times. The institutional knowledge that had made FAO Schwarz special disappeared as experienced staff left for more stable employment elsewhere. By 2003, annual employee turnover at FAO Schwarz locations averaged 47%. Comparable luxury retailers saw only 22% turnover. Training costs consumed resources that could have funded more store improvements or marketing. It created a death spiral. Each transition cost an estimated $8 to $12 million in consulting fees, restructuring expenses, and operational disruptions. Inexperienced staff provided worse customer service, so customers stopped paying premiums for disappointing experiences. Revenue declined and ownership changed again. FAO Schwarz needed stable leadership focused on adapting its business model. Instead, it got rotating executives managing legal problems while the retail landscape transformed around them. In May 2004, Toys R Us acquired FAO Schwarz for an undisclosed sum. Industry analysts reacted with immediate optimism. Could a toy retail giant save the company where others had failed? Toys R Us operated 1,559 stores worldwide and generated $13.6 billion in annual revenue. The company promised to invest in FAO Schwarz while leveraging shared supply chains and marketing resources. But the investment never materialized. Toys R Us was fighting its own battle against Amazon and Walmart. The Fifth Avenue flagship's economics had become unsustainable. This single store needed to generate approximately $55 to $60 million in annual revenue just to break even after rent, labor, and inventory costs. This was while revenue was moving in the wrong direction. Between 2010 and 2014, flagship sales declined from an estimated $48 million to $34 million annually. Foot traffic dropped 28%, while online toy sales grew 47% nationally during the same period. A family could visit FAO Schwarz and photograph their children on the famous piano. Then they could purchase identical toys 35 to 40% cheaper on Amazon with free 2-day shipping. Customer surveys revealed 62% of Flagship visitors left without purchasing. They were treating the store as entertainment rather than retail. Toys R Us made the obvious decision. On May 15, 2015, they announced the Flagship would close permanently on July 15, 2015. The 61-day notice period allowed employees to find new positions and customers to make final visits. The final day drew over 8,000 visitors. The closure was big news. It generated coverage on over 200 news outlets worldwide. The broader context explained why even Toys R Us couldn't save the Flagship. Between 2010 and 2015, American retail lost 14,000 toy stores to bankruptcy and closures. FAO Schwarz was simply the most famous casualty in an industry-wide collapse driven by e-commerce and discount retail. The brand that had survived 153 years was no more, but could it be saved? Why would investors gamble on a brand that had just failed spectacularly twice? In 2016, ThreeSixty Group acquired FAO Schwarz's trademark rights from bankrupt Toys R Us for an undisclosed sum. CVO David Kahn and his team had built careers in Toys R Us. They had previously managed brands like Toys R Us International and KB Toys. They understood something previous owners had missed. FAO Schwarz hadn't failed because customers stopped loving it. It failed because management had tried scaling theatrical retail like a discount chain. Kahn's strategy rejected everything that had destroyed the brand. No national expansion to 40 locations, no competition on price with Walmart or Amazon, no pretending experimental retail could operate on discount economics. Instead, ThreeSixty would transform FAO Schwarz into a boutique lifestyle brand. Limited locations would create scarcity value. The stores would function as theatrical destinations that justified premium pricing through Instagram-worthy experiences no website could replicate. The team spent 24 months planning their flagship reopening. They secured 20,000 square feet at 30 Rockefeller Plaza. This was the space Apple's Glass Cube had occupied. The location commanded premium rent but offered something invaluable: 175,000 daily pedestrians passing directly by the entrance. They invested $2 million in theatrical installations. A 27-foot rocket ship with LED-lit interior that children could climb. The famous dance-on piano rebuilt to exact big movie specifications. Custom mascots that roamed the aisles performing impromptu shows. Every element was designed for social media sharing. The November 16, 2018 grand opening drew crowds that wrapped around 3 city blocks. Over 12,000 visitors toured the store in the first weekend. Media coverage appeared on over 300 outlets globally now, generating an estimated $8 million in equivalent advertising value. But the real strategic innovation was restraint. ThreeSixty opened just 6 carefully curated locations total: Rockefeller Plaza, Beijing, London, Dublin, and 2 others. Each store featured private label products designed exclusively for FAO Schwarz. This differentiated inventory from mass-market competitors. The private label strategy created pricing power. A generic stuffed animal cost $30 at Target. The same size FAO Schwarz brand item sold for $85 to $120. Customers paid the premium for exclusivity and the experience of purchasing it inside a theatrical environment. Early revenue data validated the gamble. The Rockefeller location generated approximately $17.5 million in its first full year. It operated profitably on boutique margins that a 40-location expansion could never have achieved. So can theatrical spectacle actually compete with Amazon's convenience and pricing? The Rockefeller Plaza location offered a direct test of experiential retail's viability. ThreeSixty had designed every corner to entice foot traffic and purchases. The famous piano occupied center stage on the main floor. Unlike the original, this version featured LED lights that pulsed with each note played. Children lined up 45 minutes on busy weekends just to perform their own big movie moments while parents recorded videos. The 27-foot rocket ship was back, dominating the back wall. Its interior featured touchscreen displays showing lunar landscapes and astronaut training videos. Capacity maxed at 8 children per climb. Staff managed 15-minute rotation windows during peak hours. Supermodel Gigi Hadid designed the staff uniforms. Toy soldier outfits with streetwear elements turned employees into walking photo props. The hashtag Return to Wonder generated over 2.4 million Instagram impressions within the first 6 months. This Instagram strategy worked. Internal data revealed 68% of first-time visitors had discovered the store through social media posts from friends or influencers. The viral sharing functioned as free advertising that traditional toy retailers couldn't replicate. But the economics remained challenging. The Rockefeller location employed 51 to 200 staff, depending on season. Wages averaged $18 to $22 per hour in Manhattan's expensive labor market. The rocket ship required weekly maintenance. The piano needed monthly tuning. Mascot performers demanded competitive salaries. These operational costs meant experiential retail needed higher margins than discount competitors. FAO Schwarz solved this through private label products that generated 60 to 70% gross margins. Branded toys from major manufacturers only delivered 30 to 40% margins. The model worked at boutique scale. 6 locations could maintain theatrical standards while generating profitable revenue. Parents valued the theatrical experience and Instagram opportunities, but 43% admitted purchasing identical toys cheaper online after their visit. ThreeSixty had solved FAO Schwarz's survival problem by accepting what previous owners refused. Theatrical toy retail works as a limited luxury brand, not a scalable mass-market operation. FAO Schwarz's resurrection teaches a lesson most legacy brands refuse to accept. Sometimes survival means getting smaller, not bigger. The brand failed when management prioritized expansion over the theatrical experience that made it valuable. 40 locations diluted magic into generic retail. ThreeSixty succeeded by operating just 6 locations where scarcity created value. This contradicts standard business logic that demands scale and growth. But experiential retail operates on different economics. The theatrical elements that justify premium pricing cost the same whether you serve 100 customers or 10,000. Small scale maintains quality. Large scale destroys it. Heritage brands facing disruption must choose: preserve what made you special for fewer customers, or dilute identity chasing mass market revenue until nothing remains worth saving. What's your take? Is boutique survival enough, or does a legendary brand need scale to matter? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you loved watching this resurrection story, smash that like and subscribe button for more Money Legends content. The next business comeback is even wilder. Click here to watch it now. It's a great one.